Running back Will Shipley absolutely improved his 2024 NFL draft stock earlier this week at Clemson's Pro Day. What are my biggest takeaways? I'm going to tell you this and more coming up next.
You are Locked On NFL Draft, your daily podcast covering the NFL Draft. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's up, Locked On family? Welcome back to the Locked On NFL Draft Podcast, your daily podcast covering your favorite draft prospects, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I'm your boy, Damian Parson, always on the ones and twos. You can find and follow me on X at DP_NFL. I'm a national scout and a senior draft analyst. And thank you for making Locked On NFL Draft your first listen today and every day. Shout out for being our everydayers, guys. Listen, I am going to talk about the Clemson Pro Day and the biggest takeaways from me being boots on the ground and what I learned there and what I saw there. And number one, Will Shipley, running back, his stock is up, guys. His stock is up after what he did at the Pro Day. Will Putnam, deep sleeper at the center, interior offensive line position for the Clemson Tigers. And Jeremiah Trotter Jr.'s waiting game. Before we get into all of that, guys, we got to talk about this. Today's episode is brought to you by Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use the code LOCKEDON for $20 off your first purchase. Will Shipley. Guys, you're talking about a guy that had himself a day. Okay, I'm going to get to the numbers, right? Measured in at 5'11", 206 pounds. He put up 16 reps of 225. Had a 10-yard split of 154. He ran a 4.39 40, 4.11 in the short shuttle, 6.81 in the L drill, okay, and that 38.5-inch vert with a 10.2 broad. And being there and just seeing the confidence on his face, but just the way he performed, right? And I timed him myself, as well, along with, the rest of the scouts that were there for the NFL team. Multiple teams were there, almost all 32, if I remember correctly. And this young man, listen, when the first 40 was like 4.35, and I was like, okay, we're cooking right now. Okay. And then the second one was like a little bit over the 4, a little over 4.4. And then the school sent out the quote unquote official times. And the official time was a 4.39, and that was kind of the range of where I had heard from other scouts there, is that it was like 4.34 to 4.38, 4.39, and everything. And just that for at the end of the day, what he did was be able to put on tape that, hey, I have legitimate raw speed. And you see a lot of his speed on tape, right? Like he can stack guys, he can win vertically, but also I think what helped him in terms of like not just testing, but not just the speed, but the explosive. The 38.5-inch vert shows that explosive, quick twitch muscles in this, in this lower body to be able to really sky up and go make a play up top. But it was the field drills. For me, it was the field drills that really stood out the most. Man, like and I heard some people like, some of the media people like, hey, Christian McCaffrey. No, let's never do that. I don't, the white comp, the running back, the running back white comp to white running back comp is so lazy anyway. But I don't know if we'll see another Christian McCaffrey, period, man. Like, he's a different cat, different dude, you know what I mean? Different guy, a game changer of sorts, right? Shout out to Cam Newton. He's a game changer, okay, at the running back position. And we need to address him and view him as such. But when I look at this game in terms of Will Shipley, man, on the field, like the bag drills, the not the L drill, I'm sorry, the Deuce Staley drill, right? The footwork drills, he's so smooth, compact, quick, elusive, one cut. He can string together cuts well, but he was just fluid, man. And that's what you want to see from a guy that's on the field at this, just at the pro day period, right? Like, anytime I watch the running backs, the athletic testing always stands out, and it's always something that hey, it's the fun part, the 40, the vert, the broad, all that type of stuff. What's his 10-yard split? What's his flying 20? His flying 30, right? All that stuff is cool. But for me, it's all about what you can do with the ball in your hands as a runner, right? Do you have the footwork to negotiate quick pressure from the defense, right? Can you do those different things that's necessary? Can you exchange gaps? Are you a zone guy? Because when you watch the Badgers, you see how guys, they're how high they're getting their knees up, and then the transition from knees being up to quickly cutting at the end of the drill, where you had the coach with the bag or the dummy, and then move it either direction to make them cut either direction, right? How quickly can you transition from runner to cutter? And different things like that. Those things matter, guys, because that's what translates to the field. Yes, the speed. If you get them in the 60-yard sprint with another defender, that speed to be able to run 4.39, it's going to help them. But how can you get to that point? By being as good as you are in the bag drills, of showcasing that quick ability to transition from runner to cutter, to be able to jump cut, to slide, to shuffle, to do the different things and find alternative lanes, right? What if there's a road closure? Can you find your way home? At the end of the day, if the road is closed, if there's a storm out and the road is closed, can you find your way home? And that's what I always kind of equivalent to with running the ball, being a running back. Also, I always talk about, man, can you navigate 5 o'clock traffic, baby? Because I don't care if you're a Ferrari or a Lambo and it's 5 o'clock traffic. If you don't know how to weave in and out tempo and pace yourself and then get ahead of the pack and showcase that you're a Ferrari or Lambo, it doesn't really matter. And I think he showcases that on tape. Looking at his frame, he was sturdy up top. Definitely like to see his lower body, like his legs a little bit more filled in, a little bit stronger, because I think that's one of the drawbacks for him. But you talk about improving the draft stock. I think he absolutely has done that. This just being able to. He had a couple drops. I think it was more so concentration. He from what I've heard, like, he's such a hard worker and he's so tough on himself that, like, you could tell he was a little amped for the field because he knew, hey, I should kill. I'm really nice at this. Like, I'm really good, and he's one of the best, if not the best, receiving. It's him and Dylan Laub, to me, are the two best receiving backs in this class. Talking about guys that you can throw into the slot, motion around, screen game, down the field, rail routes, wheel routes, the Texas angle route, different things of that nature, and match them up against linebackers. I think both those guys are outstanding in that regard. And if you do that, you're going to have yourself a very strong, quick option and the quick passing option in the game, right? In the passing game. And I think that's the biggest thing to me. So just watching Will Shipley from the field drills to his testing, and there's an NFC team in a cold weather city. I'm not going to drop the name just yet, gather more information, but no, I'm just kidding. No, the Green Bay Packers are definitely interested, heavily interested in Will Shipley. So we'll see if that comes to fruition. See if anybody snatches him, in a round before them or pick before them. But from what I was told, the Green Bay Packers are heavily interested in adding him to their running back room with the Josh Jacobs. I think they re-signed A.J. Dillon. They need that, like, pass catcher, because that was a big part of Aaron Jones's game. So talking about a team that could use a next extra running back, especially on passing downs, that is those Green Bay Packers. And from what I was told, Will Shipley is on their radar, and it is blinking. It is making all the noises, all the bells and whistles, right? You're getting that sound notification because they're getting close to the NFL draft, and stuff is starting to heat up, guys. Stuff is starting to heat up. But you don't talk about go from one Will to the next Will. Okay, Will Putnam, his center, who helped open some of those running lanes in between the teeth of the defense, man, a deep sleeper at the center position. So we're going to get into Will Putnam's game and more coming up next. Did you know that even if you have a 401k for retirement, you can still have an IRA? Robinhood has the only IRA that gives you a 3% boost on every dollar you contribute when you subscribe to Robinhood Gold. But get this, now through April 30th, Robinhood is even boosting every single dollar you transfer in from other retirement accounts with a 3% match. That's right, no cap on the 3% match. Robinhood Gold gets you the most for your retirement thanks to their IRA with a 3% match. This offer is good through April 30th. Get started at Robinhood.com/boost. Subscription fees apply. And now for some legal info. Claim as of Q1 2024, validated by Radius Global Market Research. Investing involves risk, including loss. stocks. Limitations apply to IRAs and 401ks. 3% match requires Robinhood Gold for 1 year from the first date of the first 3% match. Must keep Robinhood IRA for 5 years. The 3% matching on transfers is subject to specific terms and conditions. Robinhood IRA available to U.S. customers in good standing. Robinhood Financial LLC is a registered broker-dealer. As you know, Locked On has launched the first ever national sports 24/7 streaming channel, Locked On Sports Today. Baseball fans, mark your calendars on March 20th at 7 p.m. Eastern for the best MLB season preview coming exclusively to Locked On Sports Today. On March 20th at 7 p.m. Eastern, be the first to get local insight from the MLB local experts on the Locked On Podcast Network. Find it on March 20th at 7 p.m. Eastern on the Locked On Sports Today 24/7 streaming channel on YouTube or the free Amazon Fire TV channel apps. Will Putnam, center for the Clemson Tigers, and a guy that measured in at 6'4", 301 pounds. He put up 28 reps, impressively, 28 reps on the bench of 225. He's not going to be the best athlete. He had around a 5'4", 540. He had a 24-inch vert, 8'4" in the broad, right? But this is a guy that's scheme versatile, can work in the zone game, strong enough and big enough in terms of body type and frame to attack in terms of the vertical displacement game. You can think about power and gap schemes, and he's just a steady Eddie, man. A good center. But what I remember watching for him, and my takeaway from him is just there was a point in time where guys were getting ready. They were stretching, they were warming up, they were talking, laughing. A lot of the players were together, right? Nate Wiggins, Ruko Rororo, Tyler Davis, Sheridan Jones, Jalen Phillips. The list goes on for the rest of the guys that were there. The one guy by himself that was just like, you could tell, getting himself in that headspace like it was game day, was Will Putnam. Because Will Putnam, if you think about it, right, how many times have you heard the name Will Putnam in terms of 2020, in terms of or regards to the 2024 NFL draft? This is a deep sleeper, guys. And this is a guy that's going to be a day 3 pick because, 9 times out of 10, right? He's smart, he's intelligent, but everybody I talked to at the program talked about how great of a dude he is in the locker room, how hard he works, and how much he wants it. And then the tape matches. He's strong, good latch and grip strength, good footwork and everything. I think you want to see him consistently stay attached to blocks and whatnot at times. But end of the day, this is a good center. And this is a guy that you think about, hey, if I can get the quarterback of my offensive line, he communicates well, identifies threats, approaching the line of scrimmage and helping make the checks and calls with the quarterback for protections and things of that nature. And he just helps the process, right? He helps the quarterback's process. And you want guys like that. I'm being honest with you, family. You want centers like that. And again, yes, he may not wow you with the athletic traits, okay? He may not have the most robust draft buzz right now, and that's fine, right? Because at the end of the day, that's not the end all be all, right? The draft buzz isn't what actually makes you a Hall of Famer. It's what makes you, it's what you do and what else you bring to the table, the intangibles that, along with your physical skill set. Now, I'm not saying Will Putnam is going to be a Hall of Famer. What I'm saying is that I absolutely view him as a valuable guy, especially when you think about the Zach Frazier's, Jackson Powers Johnson, Cedric Van Pran, Bo Limmer. Those guys are more than likely off the board, in my opinion, before day 3, right? Talking with my guys, he thinks that, a couple of, he thinks that, Cedric Van Pran and Bo Limmer will probably be day 3 picks, like top of the 4th round. I have a hard time believing it because I do believe that JPJ's coming off the board in round 1. I think Zach Frazier, the center from West Virginia, JPJ, Jackson Powers Johnson from Oregon. I think those 2 guys are off the board in the first 2 rounds, right? Because teams need center. And at the end of the day, we're seeing it this offseason, right? Where the interior offensive line is getting paid. They're getting a bag. Why is that? Simple. Because the quickest path to the quarterback is right up the gut, is right up to the face of the offensive line. It's through the interior. And if you can't protect the interior, right? We saw this, right, with the Carolina Panthers and Bryce Young. When your interior offensive line is bad, your quarterback can't step up in the throws and step up into the pocket. And for a guy that struggles to find throwing lanes like Bryce Young has done, right, you need to be able to protect him in the interior. So what did? They spent $100 million on Robinhood. They threw a bag at Damian Lewis, right? You know what I mean? They went and improved. They still got to figure out the center position. But the point is they worked, you know what I mean, to where they needed to be to get themselves where they needed to be and improved that situation. So again, I think what you say to yourself is that this Will Putnam is going to have value. These centers are going to come off the board, I think, earlier than people expect, because of the fact that you can't just you can't overvalue or overstate the value of a high quality or quality center, period. Right? Like the communication, the snapping, everything that they bring to the table. And for me, Will Putnam brings a lot of good things to the table for that Clemson offense who went to that air raid, but Coach was it Riley, I think. I forget the brother's name, not Lincoln, but his brother. But Coach Riley, the offensive coordinator, said they basically in spring camp last year that this is going to be called the dirt raid, where they're going to run the ball. And they did. Phil Maffa, Will Shipley. But that offensive line was better run blocking than they were pass blocking. But Will Shipley, to me, is a good player all around, run block and pass block. And I think what you look at this situation, you say to yourself, man, day 3, 4th, 5th, 6th round, teams are going to, especially with the athletic testing, teams are like, oh, well, he can't fit the zone scheme and be a puller or a guy lead blocking it, post snap in the screen game much, right? And that's fine. He can work vertical. He can work the displacement. He can double team, duo and climb, right? You know what I mean? And he could do the things, the gallop technique, make contact with the interior defensive lineman, wait for that linebacker, that second level defender to flash, and boom, he gets upfield. He can get his hands on guys. He can create was it Jaws and from the old NFL show, there's like a seal, and the seal gives you an alley. Yes, he can help do that. And I think, teams that need to improve their interior run game, I think Will Putnam on day 3 will absolutely be worth the while for them. And at the end of the day, like I said, everything. I think he comes from a military background, all of it, man. He's got good strength. Footwork is good. He's not a liability in pass pro, in my opinion, at all. And watching this, like, I'm gonna tell you, watching his field drill, he was fluid, quick transitions laterally. He moved well. So you talk about being able to mirror and match rushers and not have to. Yes, so you always have your bumpers. You always want your bumpers, right? That right guard, that left guard. You always want those guys, attached to you and everything. But at the same time, like, can you move laterally to cut off access points for quick interior defensive lineman? And he can, guys. He absolutely can. So you want to talk about a deep sleeper in this class? For me, it's Clemson's center, Will Putnam. But guys, you want to talk about, we're going to close this show out, and we're going to get into Jeremiah Trotter Jr. He has not been able to work out. How is that going to affect his draft stock? It's a waiting game. We're going to talk about that and more coming up next. Guys, you shouldn't have to worry when it comes down time to buy your next ticket for the next big event. But if you wait to the last minute, you will, because you're trying to compete with other buyers and find the best deals. But let me introduce you to Gametime. They are the fast and easy way to buy tickets for all the sports, music, comedy, and theater events near you. What other benefits do they have? I'm glad you asked. Let me tell you. Last minute tickets, flash deals, zone deals. Their tickets are easy to find and buy. But this is my favorite part. They show the views from all the seats in the venue. So before you purchase your ticket, you know what vantage point you will have. Okay, guys, right now, the prodigal son is coming home. And that is on March 29th at 7 p.m. to the Spectrum Center in Charlotte. Steph Curry and the Golden State Warriors are coming to Charlotte to face the Charlotte Hornets. So if you want to go see that game for as cheap as $108 a ticket, I'm telling you now, the Hornets have not been good this year, and their tickets are usually much cheaper. That's the star power of a Steph Curry. So if you want to go see this game, you can go right now for as cheap as $108. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use the code Locked On for $20 off your first purchase. Jeremiah Trotter Jr., linebacker, one of the better linebackers in college football during his starting time at Clemson during his collegiate career. But it's a guy that, at the end of the day, I think me and Keith have talked about it on the pod before. He's got to battle the Nakobe Dean allegations, or not allegations, but comparison, right? Where Nakobe Dean was deemed not a good athlete. He was undersized and stuff like that. He's battled some injuries early on. Well, speaking of injuries, we have not been able to see Jeremiah Trotter Jr. test, right? I think at the combine, he came in around 228, 227 at 6 foot even and everything. So he's shorter, but the undersizedness kind of works in his favor simply because the NFL, like these 240, 250 pound off ball backers, it's not a thing anymore like that, guys. Truthfully, it's not. Because of the fact that the NFL has been more spread open. Now, history repeats itself. The more defense is downsized in the front seven, the more teams are going to run the football. And that's what we're going to have. That's what we're going to have happen. That's what's starting to happen. But at this pro day, he measured at 6'003", so 6 foot, a little over 6 foot, 230 pounds. He did 21 reps on the bench at the combine. He will not be able to do his 40-yard dash until April 9th. He is doing a separate workout April 9th because of the fact that he was held back by a minor hamstring injury, right? He did a 4.4 in the short shuttle, a 7.13 in the L drill at the combine, no vertical, no broad. So I think the 40 vertical and broad. And then now at the pro day, he did not, that's why I say it's a waiting game. He did not test it. He didn't do anything because of the hamstring. So you're talking about redirection drills, drops, everything, right? The W drill, everything that they put the linebackers fully through in terms of on-field workouts at the combine, he wasn't able to do at the pro day. So on April 9th, it'll be interesting to see how that goes so that he can kind of showcase what he brings to the table. And again, it's all about, you have to defeat that narrative that, hey, this is the next Nakobe Dean. This is a good football player. Nakobe Dean was a good football player, right? And I'm praying that he stays healthy so he could continuously show that instinctive, physical, aggressive, everything. One of the best blitzers in college football at the linebacker position was Jeremiah Trotter Jr. You're talking about delayed blitzes, a guy that really slow played it but had the good closing burst and speed to close on the quarterback and make a play on the ball. So at the end of the day, I think the waiting game for him is luckily it's not too deep into April. It's April 9th. I think like with Cooper DeJean, the quarterback of the Iowa, I don't think he's been able to test or work out or have his private workout until like a week or two before the draft. So I think it's the week before. So like, it's such a late moment in the process, but at the same time, you can kind of, be the last guy that they see work out too. So if you go do your thing, it's like, man, Jeremiah Trotter did his thing. Cooper DeJean did his thing. So I think that's probably the big thing with Jeremiah Trotter Jr. is you want to see how athletic he is. Some people think he's going to run 4.6, 4.7, 4.8, and you just got to come out there and run your best time. And also remember this, guys, NFL teams, while yes, the 40 is entertaining for fans and media and everything, these NFL teams use GPS for the most part. And if they're not, they're doing it wrong. If your team is drafting guys based off of their 40-yard dash time, I promise you don't have a good team. I'm just letting you know now. You don't have a good team or a good roster because that's not the way that you evaluate, right? You have the in-game speed, like how fast are you moving and everything. And yeah, that's what that is. That's what that means. So that's a big part of the process, a big piece of the puzzle. So yes, like getting his 40 time, all that stuff matters. But at the same time, they know how fast he moves on the GPS because these guys they have the chips and I think their shoulder pads and everything. So you know how fast they're moving, when they're moving that fast, what part of the field. Like they have all that information. So I think with him, it's just going out there, proving that, hey, here's my raw athleticism, right? and my vertical ability, my broad jump, all that good stuff. This is how I look on the field when you're putting me through the drills and having me really showcase the things that matter on the football field. And if he goes in there and handles business, he can solidify himself as one of the first, one of the top 3 to 4 linebackers taken, along with Peyton Wilson from NC State, Edgerrin Cooper. The list goes on. This is a I'm not down in this linebacker class. I couldn't care less what people think. I'm just not down on it, guys. I'm sorry. I stand 10 toes down on my evaluation. I don't believe this is a bad linebacker class. Okay, I just don't. But nonetheless, guys, that's the show, man. We talked about Jeremiah Trotter's, injury, not being able to test. April 9th is when he'll be able to do everything he needs to do in front of the NFL team. So it's a little bit of a waiting game. Center Will Putnam for the Clemson Tigers is a deep sleeper. Keep your eye on him and where he goes. Late day 3, maybe undrafted. We don't know, because this is how the NFL does non-premium positions. But I think day 3 will be great value for him. And of course, the star of that offense, Will Shipley, running back. His stock is up after outstanding performance at his pro day, or a strong performance at his pro day with testing and on-field workouts overall. But guys, listen, go subscribe and follow for free on YouTube, wherever you listen to podcasts. The latest episode as soon as it is available. Thank you for making Locked On NFL Draft your first listen today and every day. Shout out for being our everydayers. We got Mock Draft Monday coming up, especially post free agency. So I can't wait for Keith to come back on the show tomorrow so we can get into that. But listen, come and join the conversation again tomorrow on the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.